trying to do it right. I've been living a lonely life. I've been sleeping here instead. I've been sleeping in my bed. I've been sleeping in my bed. So show me family, all the blood that I will bleed. I don't know where I belong.
And this is going to be the final installment or final lesson about determining the demand equation. So basically, yes, I know. Yeah, it was like the hardest lesson. So, what we know so far is how to do the slope. But if you guys have ever seen a slope equation, you have y equals to mx plus b. So we already know what that slope is, that's m. But now we just have to figure out what that b is, that constant. So how do we do that, you may ask? Well, I'm going to tell you. Hold on, let's hold that. So for demand equation, what you need to do is figure out how many people are willing to buy zero products for. But you can't really determine just like, because that can be infinite. No one's gonna buy a product or like a computer for $1 trillion. So what exactly do you do? So what you do is instead of finding out how much people will buy zero products for, you find how much people are willing to buy any amount of product for. So let's say 10 computers. If I figure out how many people would buy 10 computers, what's the price at that moment? I simply use the slope, the slope, and work backwards. So, does everyone have me up to there? Any questions? Just ask. You can just interrupt. Just raise your hands or anything.
Call him out on him being stupid.
Yeah.
If
So
he
you
is.
just you find one point and you just work backwards. So, I give the example. If I have a Final Fantasy game that had an elasticity demand of 2, the inverse of slope. And I found that game for the price of $50 usually sell 500,000. I'm gonna put the chart in like 100,000, so 5 100,000s. Then my slope would be -1/2. So first, if I have elasticity and I change it to slope, I have to do the inverse. And since demand is usually negative, I just have to put negative sign in front. And then that's my slope. And now what I have to do is simply plug it into the y equals to mx plus b formula. So I have 50, which is my price, because price is on the y-axis. So if you see this, price and quantity. Price is on the y, quantity is on the x. So 50 is equal to -0.5, which is the slope, which I got from elasticity of demand by doing, if I have 2, put a 1 over it. Yeah. And then make it negative because it's demand, so -1/2, or -0.5 times 5 plus b. Now, when I solve it, I do 50, this is just simple math, is equal to -2.5 plus b, add 2.5 to both sides, and I get 52.5 is equal to b. That's it.
What is that exactly?
That's when I'm making my demand line equation. That's the B.
Okay.
So I'm just figuring out what that B is. Now, for supply equations, it's actually easier in a way. All you have to do, and it might sound like a lot at first, but it's much simpler than anything. You just have to add up all the cost of machines to make one product. So let's say this is what's going to be known as fixed cost, but we'll get into that later. So let's say it takes, remember, I don't know if you remember those book examples, but yeah. So it took one printer, which cost $10 to make that first book. Now, I didn't make a book as yet, but I still had to spend that $10. So that's going to be my constant. Now, the cost can also be like lands. You actually need like some land to do stuff, like if you have a farm or so. And you just add up all those costs. I didn't make the first product, but what I need to make that first product. And that would be your B, your constant. The B in the y equals to mx plus b formula. So here's the question, and you're gonna have to figure out the constant. If I had a product that took $100 worth of machines and $1,000 of land to make the first product. What is my constant? What does that be? Shoot, yeah, do you wanna? Yeah, my B would be 1,100. And yeah, that's it. So what we have gone over so far is how to figure out that slope, elasticity, and then do the inverse and all that. And also find the constant, which we just did right now. Yeah, so you guys will be able to make your own supply and demand equations. I'll be helping you guys once you guys have your product to help. And to help you guys figure out what exactly is that like slope and all that stuff. But yeah, that's my lesson.
Good job, Devin.
She be standing next to me.